So earlier this season, the Independent looked at the first four Pac-12 matchups the Bucks had to face. Now the team is looking at its last four Pac-12 matchups. So how's the team gonna do? This is Coin Toss, and I'm Jake Moff.
I'm Kyle Rini, and I think to start off, we'll figure out who goes first with a coin toss. All right, Jake, what do you pick?
Tails never fails.
And it is heads. I will go first. So, first up, the Buffs have UCLA next Thursday at home. This is a team, UCLA, we have come so close to beating
So close.
past 2 years.
We've used the same, whenever we need a defeated pose, we use the same one from the double overtime game.
Yeah.
The same photo.
It was frustrating because when we were still the cellar dweller a little bit,
Mhm.
UCLA was as close as we would come to that Pac-12 upset we desperately needed.
Mm-hmm.
So that in mind, they come into Boulder this week. It's a home game, prime time. The Buffs have gotten so much better in the past year, and UCLA has kind of started to flounder a little bit. They might or might not be without quarterback Josh Rosen. He has some nerve damage. His backup, Fafal, will
Apologies for not pronouncing that right.
he will be the starter if Rosen is not healthy. I look at this game and I think the Buffs win it. I think the UCLA offense is just way too unbalanced. They rank 126 out of 128 in the rushing game. Last week against Utah, they had their backup quarterback throwing 70 pass attempts. There's no balance. It's all pass heavy. Colorado has a great secondary. I mean, you make the conclusions yourself.
How much time do you think you spend in the ice bath after throwing it 70 times?
Oh, a lot, I bet.
Yeah, so I have to agree. I think we're going to pull this one off. I think it'll be more on the offensive side of the ball for Colorado, the running game. Whenever the running game does well, the team does well. Even against Stanford, we didn't do great on offense, but Lindsey had a heck of a game. Was the best running back from Colorado, or just best running back, period. If he can continue to do well, which he has the last 2 weeks, and I don't see anything from the UCLA defense too particularly damning to him, I think he'll make a good game in the trenches, go Colorado's way, especially at home against a 3-5 UCLA team.
All right, yeah. So not in disagreement, but
Different
disagreement
reasons.
about why. So we'll look next to match up against Arizona in Tucson. The Wildcats are not a particularly big contender in the Pac-12 South right now. They are currently 2-5. So there's not much to say about this game. I would say the only way Arizona has a real chance of winning this is if it's a trap game. I don't see this Colorado team falling to trap games. I think they respect every team they play. I don't think they get into that kind of mentality of not respecting teams. So that being said, I think both sides of the ball, Buffs will dominate.
I think for the most part that's true, but the thing I need to point out when I say I think they're going to win is at quarterback. Right now, the quarterback position in Arizona is just blatant with injuries. You don't know who the starter is going to be, I think, even for this upcoming game, let alone 2-3 weeks from now when we do play them. So just that in itself, the inconsistency, and even necessarily in the running game, you don't know who's going to be there, what they're going to do. I think their leading passers, their leading rusher as well, and maybe some quarterback options or just scrambling a lot. Maybe he's their running back that had to come in for injury. That's how bad it is. I think Colorado's going to be benefiting from that injury. As unfortunate as that sounds, you have to look at it.
Fair enough. After that, a home game against Washington State. This Washington State team is one I see as almost our counterpart in the North. A cellar dweller not too long ago, one that hasn't traditionally been a powerhouse, but this season has come out and surprised people. So I see that being our closest game during this 4-game slate. And I think the reason for that is Mike Leach, the coach there. Traditionally, he goes, with the air raid offense, lots of passing, but
You don't say. I thought he was a run guy.
This season, I think he is. He's transitioned a little bit to the run game, and that's been a huge part of their success. CU's one weakness, not too much of a weakness really, but weaker point on defense has been the run game. So I think this is a challenge. It'll be a huge challenge. If this wasn't in Boulder, I might predict possibly a loss, but with home field advantage, I see the Buffs winning this one, but close.
Mm-hmm. Washington State last year was the first game Absey had to start in Cefo's absence after that injury against USC, and that was just an awful game. That was Washington State's first 100-yard rusher, I think, in like 5 years, because we went in expecting the pass, and they still passed, and they passed well, but it's also, surprise, here's the run, here's like a 20-yard gain, about every time they touch the football. But again, like you said, it's a weaker part of the defense, but I'm really happy they've been kicking up the last couple weeks. We kept Stanford, specifically Christian McCaffrey, under 100 yards. Even if he's not 100%, that's a big deal to this unit. I don't see the run, even on surprise plays, getting us too much, and we'll play right in the secondary. At least at cornerback, my one concern is going to be the safeties with Tedrick Thompson. And Tedrick Thompson can make plays, but on one-to-one coverage, I'm a bit iffy on.
I can agree with that.
So, but I think for the most part, with the home field advantage and us improving on the run defense, I think this will go Colorado's way.
All right. So then finally we have our rivalry weekend season closer against Utah. And the way things are going right now, it's very possible that this could end up being a Pac-12 South title game. Mm-hmm. Utah ranked 17th right now. I predict that Utah and Colorado will be close in the rankings still at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think this will be a close game. It's in Boulder. That'll have a huge part of it. Offensively, Utah has a lot of weapons, but I don't see them being weapons that this Colorado defense can't contain. So I like the Buffs in this matchup. I like them to win the Pac-12 South if it should come to that, and we'll see from there.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Again, we haven't been disagreeing much. The end of the schedule looks very much in Colorado's favor. The one kink might be this Utah game, but I think in some cases this might be a blowout. Just last season, we kept them very close. We were at Utah. We traveled on the road. Like I said, Absey was starting. It was the final game as well, in Cefo's absence. And he went out with a concussion, so Jordan Gerke, had to take a significant amount of snaps, and we still kept it close. I think even Jaleel Owini, who I think right now is on the defensive end, defensive outer linebacker on the defense, he took snaps at quarterback and ran an option offense, which I don't even know how they prepared with that.
Yeah.
Going into that, we still kept it close. And so if we have just a well-improved team on all sides, all facets of the game, except for special teams, but I don't think it'll come down to that. With an improved running game, improved passing game, unless something catastrophic happens, which hopefully for either team that doesn't happen, I think the biggest issue about this Pac-12 South title that we're talking about will be that Washington game that Utah has to play this week. And if Washington beats them and does something so hard that they falter for a week, this might not even be the Pac-12 South matchup we're talking about. But 17 versus 23 right now, I can only imagine what a title on the line might do to both of them.
All right.
So, according to us, the Buffs are going to be 4-0 in the end of their season. We'll be 10-2, and we'll be Pac-12 South winners. As optimistic as that sounds, it might happen. So, will it happen? Turn in to find out. I'm Jake Moff.
I'm Kyle Rainey.